guys, it's Mrs. Montague here, and this video is going to give you a quick overview on how to use Google Calendar. So you get to Google Calendar by typing in calendar.google.com. So you might see a trend there in how to access all of your Google apps. It's just whatever the app is, .google.com. So mail.com, drive.google.com, and calendar.google.com. So you can see here I've got my Cherokee County Schools calendar pulled up, and it's giving me all these different events that I've got built into my calendar. So I have it currently set to view the entire month. So you can see up here, it's got a month. If I do a drop down, I can select that I just want to see each day. I can see a weekly schedule, a monthly schedule, a yearly schedule. I can do 4 days. I can choose to show weekends or not, and show any events that I may have declined that will still show up on my calendar there. So all kinds of views you can change to. So for instance, if I click on day, now it's showing me April 1st because that's what today is, and any events that might be for today, which sadly we had a track meet, which we won't have anymore. So if I go back to month, this is my preferred way to view my calendar so I can see what's upcoming for the whole month. It takes me day by day through the calendar and shows me all these different events. So on the 7th right here is a few different things. You can see I can see 3 of these things. I have the option to see 2 more. So if I click on that, it's going to expand that day and show me the additional events that are happening on that day. You also might notice that all of these things are in different colors. So there is a reason for that. So you can see over here on the left, I've got my month view as well, and I can click on any day within that month view, and it will show me that day and what's going on. So I don't want to see the day view, so let's go back to month view over here. But the different colors denote different calendars. So my personal calendar, anything that I have personally added to my calendar, shows up in purple. Any classes that I am a co-teacher in are listed here as well. So you can see I'm in Mr. Westmoreland's World History for 4th period. I also have Honors Math 2 for Miss Raper. So those classes are showing up in here. And I've got the forensic science from last semester built in here as well. So anything that you have checked means that it's going to show you those events. If you uncheck it, those events are going to disappear. So for instance, if I say I don't want to see the Honors Math 2 calendar events, I can uncheck that box, and you can see all of those pinky little items have disappeared from my calendar. If I check that box again, now they are showing up again. And you can also see if we scroll down a little bit more, I'll exit that. I've also got some additional things built in. So I've got the athletic calendar here that I'm viewing as well. So if I uncheck that, you can see like this Wednesday the 1st track meet and Wednesday the 8th track meet are going to disappear. And when I check that again, they'll show up. I've also got Easter Sunday and Easter Monday showing up on my calendar. So if I uncheck that box, those holidays are going to disappear. So that's just going to denote which calendar events are showing up for you. You can see here I can collapse the My Calendars view. So if I don't really care about seeing that, I can collapse it to just clean up that side panel a little bit. Or I can expand it. You've also got this nice easy meet with box right here. So if I wanted to set up a meeting with somebody specific, I could start typing their name in here. So let's say I want to set up a meeting with my husband. I just start typing his name and he comes up right here, David Decker. If I click on that, it's telling me that his calendar cannot be shown. So he might not have his calendar syncing turned on. Some people will, and you'll be able to see meetings and events that they have on their calendars and find a time that will work for all of you to meet. So let's just check, like if I do Jason instead. Oh, nope, his calendar can't be shown as well. So not many people have that calendar ability turned on, but I will show you how to turn that on here in just a few minutes. And then you can see under other calendars as well, I have this little plus button right here. So if I click on that plus button, I can search for calendars to subscribe to. I can create a new calendar. So this is the button that I use to create the MHS Club calendar. You can browse resources or calendars of interest. You can find a calendar from its URL, or you can import a calendar that you might have stored in a different app or a different calendar that you've got on your computer. So I'm going to actually click on create a new calendar so you guys can see what the process is for creating a calendar. And you can give your new calendar a name and description. So I'm just going to say this is my test calendar. And it's a test calendar for my Google Calendar video. You can set your time zone for the calendar so you make sure everybody's on the same date and time. And when you click create, give it a moment. You can see down here it says it was successfully created. So when I click configure, that's going to take me to my calendar settings a little bit more specifically. So you can see it's still got my name and description up here. I can choose to export my calendar to a different app or a different spot if you need to do that. You can auto accept invitations if you want to. So you can auto accept invitations that don't conflict with any events that you've got on your calendar. So that means that you would be automatically accepting a request as long as you didn't have any events in the calendar already that conflicted. You can also automatically add all invitations to the calendar, or you can choose not to show invitations at all from here. Your access permissions. So I can make this available to the public, and you see it gives me this little notification here that they're going to be visible to the whole world. Anyone doing a Google search can find this calendar potentially on Google. So I'm going to say cancel. I don't want to make it available to the public, but it's an option if you think you need to. You can also get a shareable link to your calendar. So when you click that, it's going to give you that calendar URL, and that is an easy way. You can just copy that link and email the link to anyone who might need access to this calendar, and they can add that new calendar by URL using the plus calendar button that we were looking at earlier. You can also choose to share it with specific people from here. So right now it's only shared with me. I'm the owner, so I can make changes and manage the sharing. When I add people, let's say I'm going to add David. Again, he's my little guinea pig here. You can set his permissions when you add him. So right now he can only see all the event details. You can say he can only see if you're free or busy without giving you him the specific details of the events on the calendar. I can select to make changes to events on this calendar, or I can select that he can make changes and manage sharing on the calendar. So he would be able to share this calendar with others as well if I selected that option. I'm going to click cancel because I don't need to share it with him, but that would send him an email notification that he has gotten a calendar invitation. Down here is your event notifications. So you can add notifications that will give you a 10-minute notification before the event happens. You can change however many minutes that is with the up or down arrows, or just type it in. You can also select, instead of minutes, you can do 10 hours beforehand, 10 days beforehand, or 10 weeks beforehand. So however you think you need to set that notification to remember it, you can add it right there. And if you don't want that notification anymore, just simply click the X and it will remove that notification. You can also add actions for all day events. Again, it's going to give you that automatic one day before at 9 a.m. So for this one, you can select either days or weeks that it's going to notify you beforehand and set a specific time for it to notify you. So if you know that you're usually sitting at your computer at about 9 a.m., you can select that 9 a.m. time and it will send you that notification at 9 a.m. for you to view. And again, as easy as clicking the X notification if you need to. You can also see there's other notifications. So if you have a new event added to the calendar, you can select to get a notification. If an event is changed or canceled, you can get a notification. You can get a notification when people respond to an event. And you can get a daily agenda email. So a daily agenda is going to send you an email that shows you all of the upcoming events you have for that day, just to kind of give you a overview of what your day is going to consist of. So you can also choose to integrate your calendar here, and those are just links to embed your calendar somewhere else, or get the URL access to access the calendar from a web browser, and things like that. And you can also choose to get rid of your calendar. You can unsubscribe from the calendar, which means you won't have access to anything on that calendar anymore, or you can completely delete the calendar. So if you're like, nope, I didn't really want to make this calendar, you can just simply click that delete button and it will get rid of the whole thing. So I'm actually going to say delete on this calendar, and I will permanently delete this calendar because it's just a test and I don't actually need it. Now that is going to take me over to my general settings for calendar. I'm going to actually back out to just go to the main calendar again and show you, just so you are aware, how to get to those settings. Across the top bar here, I've got my search, so I can search for events on this calendar. Back out of it there. I can get support for how to use Google Calendars, and I can look at my settings menu. So when I click on that settings menu and click settings, that's going to show me right back to where I was before. So you've got your language and country settings, your time format and date format, so you can change it to as you see here if you need to. You've got your time zone settings, so you can select which time zones you want to see. You can show the world clock or not, so that's, of course, if I select that, going to let me add time zones. So maybe if I want to see what time it is in China, it will show me that. The event settings, the default duration of events is currently set to 1 hour. So that means if I set and don't set a time frame for it, it's going to default to make that event a 1 hour event. You can also, if you click that speedy meetings, it's going to take 10 minutes off of that duration. You can do your guest permissions from here. So currently, guests can invite others and see the guest lists on the calendar. They cannot modify events on the calendar. So if you wanted them to be able to modify, you just have to select that and guests would be able to modify. You can automatically add invitations if you want to, or you can select no, you only want to show invitations to which you have responded, or only get notifications if you've responded yes or maybe, and won't get notifications if you respond no to an event. You can also get your notifications. You can turn those off, or you can get alerts, up to you. And here you can choose whether or not you want to play notification sounds. So it would like ding at you if you got a notification for calendar. You can turn that off from here. You can also select your viewing options, so you can do these from that other menu I showed you as well, but you can choose to show weekends or not. You can show events that have been declined or not. You can show the week numbers for the month or the year or not. Reduce the brightness of past events. So as you could see on my calendar, if I go back here on the reduce brightness, so these ones that have already passed for Monday and Tuesday of the previous month are kind of grayed out, and the ones that are future events are brighter. So that's what that setting means. So let me go back into settings over here. Okay, I went a little too far. All right, so that's the reduce the brightness of past events. You can also view calendars side by side in your day view. So if you're looking at a calendar and you're just seeing one day of it, you can select to see multiple calendars at once in that day. You can also add events from Gmail to your calendar automatically, which I have selected. It makes it very, very integrated and easy. So if I get somebody emailing me asking me if I want to meet at 12:30 and it's not actually a calendar invitation, even that will pick up and put an event on my calendar for that meeting if I reply, yeah, I'm going to do that. You can also see you've got working hours, the ability to turn that off. So our general working hours are, of course, from 7:30 to 3:30, Monday through Friday. So I've got all of those working hours built in. So that would let people know that I can meet during those times. And if it's outside that time, then I'm probably not going to be able to meet. You can also select your work location if you want to, but you can see here only administrator has the ability to set the main work location that you could actually set. And then down here you can choose to enable keyboard shortcuts or not. And up to you if you want to do that or not. And then over here under our settings menu, you can see you've also got the ability to add a new calendar from here, either subscribing, finding from a URL, or browsing calendars, or you can create a new calendar from there as well. And you can also choose to import or export a calendar from here. So right now, these settings are probably for my Alyssa Montague calendar. So when I click on that, you can see this is giving me specific settings for this calendar, my share settings, all of the settings that it showed me when I was setting up that new calendar. If you select a specific calendar, it's going to give you those specific settings. So if I click on a different one, like this Battle of the Books calendar, then that's going to give me my Battle of the Books calendar settings and show me who that calendar is shared with, give me my links to that calendar, etc., etc. So each calendar you click on over here is going to give you those settings that you can check for each calendar. It might be different from calendar to calendar. So if you don't have permission to edit a calendar, it might show you something different. So let's check this athletic events calendar, for instance. So I can choose to do notifications, but you see I can't set any permissions or share this calendar with anyone because I don't have management rights on that calendar. So that is important to note, that you might not have all those same options for each calendar depending on the access level that you have to the calendar. So those are your general calendar settings. I'm going to exit out of settings here and go back to the calendar. And now we'll get into the nitty-gritty of actually adding a meeting. So if I have a meeting today, for instance, I am going to click, and you can see just clicking on the day is going to set up a new event for me. Or I can say it's just a time I'm going to be out of the office, or just a task to do, or I can put it into an appointment slot. Right here, it's just going to show you very, very basic settings to set the date and time. You can click add time if it's going to be from a specific time to a specific time. You can choose to add guests from here, add a location for the meeting. So like if this meeting was going to be in the library, I could put that location in there. And add the description from here. And then this drop down that's showing me my name currently. So this is defaulting to be put on my calendar. But let's say that I want to, sorry, I keep getting notifications, that I want to put this event onto, let's say, the MHS Club calendar. So if I click on that drop down, it's going to show me all of the calendars that I have access to add events to. And I can click on the MHS Club calendar, and it's going to assign that the orange color selected for that calendar, and that's going to show on my MHS Club calendar rather than my personal calendar. So that is something really, really important to make sure that you are putting these meetings on the correct calendar if you've got more than one calendar that you're working with. So I'm actually just going to put that on my default and then move to more options right here. And that's going to open this page where I'll have a little bit more comprehensive options to select for this meeting. So you can see I can add my event title. So this is just a test meeting, let's say. I'm fine with this meeting being from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's going to give you the 15-minute increments, but if you actually just click in and type, you can set it for a different time if you need to. So let's say I want to start at 11:05 a.m. Now it's adjusted my 15-minute increments over here to be based on that 11:05 start time. But again, if I want it to end still at, let's say, 12 o'clock, I want it to be a 55-minute meeting, I can just put that in there and it will let me change that to whatever I need it to say. You can also select if this event is going to be all day or not. So if I say it's all day, that removes my time because it's just going to be the entire day. And you can choose to repeat the event or not. So maybe you've got a meeting that happens from 11:05 to 12 p.m. every single Wednesday. So you can say that it's weekly on Wednesday, or maybe it's monthly on the first Wednesday. Or annually on April 1st even, or you can set a custom repeating time. So it depends on if you've got meetings that repeat or not. You can select those repeating times so you don't have to create an event each time you meet. So this is something that I used that was very helpful when I was creating the club calendar. So for instance, Battle of the Books met every Tuesday during invest time. So I just created an event that met every Tuesday at that time without having to go in on each Tuesday throughout the whole year and add an event each time. It just recurred and made it really easy to get all of those events showing up. You can also see here, you've got more event details down here. So like our little condensed view, I can add a location for this meeting. So let's just say this is the library. And it's, of course, going to show up with information from Google Maps, but we're saying that this is just within the school building. So room 508. I don't know if that's right. I think it is, though. So that's where the library is. You can choose to add the conferencing, and you can see it's going to be a Hangouts Meet. So if you want to schedule a future Google Meet, you can put that in your calendar and select that it is going to be a Google Meet Hangout, and it will automatically give you that link to join the Google Meet from the calendar as well. You can set your notification times. So if you want multiple notifications, you can click add a notification and it will give you however many you want. And of course, just exit out of them. Completely notifications. You can see here, this is going on my personal calendar. I have the event color in purple, which is my personal calendar color that I have chosen for myself. And you can set your visibility to be busy. So if somebody else were to come in and request a meeting with me that started at, let's say, 11:30, it will show that I am from 11:05 to 12 p.m. So I cannot do a meeting at 11:30 because I'll already be in a meeting. So that's very useful to set right there. And you can choose whether or not this event is going to show public, private, or to your default visibility, which is what you have in your calendar settings. So however you have that visibility set in your calendar is that default visibility. And then here you can add a description or click to add attachment. So again, if you had a meeting agenda or something like that, you can see you've got all these options. You can do recent files that you've uploaded. You can select any files from your Google Drive. So if you click on Google Drive, it's going to give you these navigation options. You can select files from any of your shared drives. You can select files that have been shared with you, or you can select files to upload that are stored locally on your computer. So that might be useful if you want to attach a meeting agenda, or if you've got like a document or a slideshow that you want to share with everyone that's coming to the meeting. You can just attach it right there and everyone will have access when you send out the meeting invitation. So over here, you can add your guests. So again, we'll type in David Decker as my guest. You can see he has now appeared right here. If I click on that little person, that means that this is an optional meeting for him. So I'm inviting him to the meeting, but it's not necessarily something that he has to attend. Or I can say, again, if it's filled in person, he is required to be here. And then the little X will remove him from this invitation. So, and then again, right here, you can see I can set guest permissions from here as well. So I can choose to modify that he can modify this event. He can invite others to the event, and he can see the guest list to the event. So any of those are just the toggle switch, and that will set what he can do with this particular meeting. So if I don't want him to be able to invite others to the meeting or even see the guests, I can uncheck both of these things, and he'll just get his invitation to it and know that he's got that meeting to go to that he can add to his own calendar. And he wouldn't be able to see anything else about the meeting other than the information over here that I may have attached, or that it's a Google Meet, and he'll get that link to the Meet. So once you are done with all of those options, I'm going to actually exit out of him so I don't send him an invitation, and click Save. Actually, you know what? I will put him in here, because when I do that and click Save, it's asking me if I would like to send an invitation via email to the Google Calendar guests. So I can choose to dismiss that notification and it won't do anything. I can choose not to send it specifically, or I can choose to send the invitation to my guests. I always suggest that you send the invitation via email, because the email invite, and it's an easy way for them to select yes or no, that they're going to attend or not. So I'm actually for this just going to select don't send. He doesn't need to be invited to this test meeting. And you see now it's showing up for 11:05 on Wednesday the 1st. My test meeting is right here into my calendar. Again, pretty easy to use. You can see over here it's got your Google Keep and your Google Tasks built in on this side panel, so you can see any tasks or lists that you might have built in via Drive or your Gmail are also going to show up in your calendar, or you can create the tasks and keep lists from your calendar as well that will show up in your Gmail or Drive. So it's all integrated across platforms. And again, you've got your ellipsis here that lets you get more add-ons for your Google Calendar. If there's some functionality that you found in an app or something that you want to have in Google Calendar, you can add some add-ons there that will modify how your Google Calendar works if that's something that you need. So that is pretty much it for Google Calendar. Again, if you've got any questions on how to use Google Calendar, how to send out invitations, how to accept or reject invitations, how to get access to another calendar, please let me know and I would be happy to assist. All the best.